Marie, I want to turn it over to you. I wanted to give you some more time to talk about the prosecution's case here. We learned a few things in their opening statement. We learned that they're saying she was an integral part of what happened to Miss Biggs, that they have this secret recorded conversation between the defendant and another person where she allegedly confessed to what she did in being a part of this. And then, of course, we also know that the testimony of the unnamed minor. We are not permitted by the court to name the minor in this case. The daughter of the victim and Chad Cobb will testify in person. Let's talk about the prosecution's case. How strong do you think it is?
I think it's an extremely strong case. And that's if the evidence does show what she says it's going to show. We don't know until we actually hear it. And that's why the defense attorney said, wait until all the evidence is in before you make up your mind, because we really don't know. Just because in opening statements, she says this is what the evidence is going to be. She says this is what the evidence is going to show. We don't know. But if it does show what she's saying it is, it's a very difficult case. I would say that the defense attorney, I really liked him. You can see he's a well-seasoned defense attorney. He's likable. And that's very important because very often the attorney themselves are associated with their client. So he's up there humanizing her. He's talking about the areas in the community that he's one of them. He knows the community. He knows the streets, back in this area. So I think he did a very, very good opening statement if that evidence really does show what the prosecution is saying it will. I think this is a very difficult case for this defendant.
I'll tell you this much. I mean, Mike said it before. You had a strong opening from the prosecution and the defense, and you see these two sides. It looks like it's going to be a great case, a tough case for both sides, fighting it back and forth. Let's play a little bit more of Felicia Easter, the prosecutor.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the night of June 20th to June 21st, Erica Stefanko, knowing Ashley Biggs was at work, made a phone call. Erica Stefanko made that phone call that lured Ashley Biggs to her death. Evidence and testimony will show. When she made that phone call, she used a fake name. It was approximately 11:42 at night. And she had Ashley come to a business that was closed. And not just come to that business, but come to the back door. That is what was instructed in the call for the delivery person, Ashley, to come to the back door. Once Ashley made that delivery, went to the area she was supposed to, that's when she was confronted by Chad Cobb. That is when the zip tie was placed. That is when she was beat. That is where she was thrown in her car. From there, evidence and testimony will show that her car was taken, she was removed from the scene. Chad Cobb drove Ashley Biggs' car for miles to a different county while Erica Stefanko was in tow. She was right behind him, following him to the cornfield.
Mike, let's talk about that phone call. From what we've heard and what we know about the case, a couple of questions for you. One, are we going to hear the actual Domino's call where she makes this delivery, and as you heard from the prosecutor saying how to where the delivery person should go to the back of this business and all that? Are we going to hear that? And number two, if you're a defense attorney and you have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses about this Domino's call, where do you go? Because based upon the prosecution's narrative, it's strong. Why would you have Biggs arrive at this abandoned location in the back, and then that's where she ultimately gets killed?
Well, I am sure part of the defense is going to be that they've identified her voice. The obvious is the obvious. But the context in which it was made, what she believed would happen and why she believed would happen, her Her defense may be, hey, listen, he told me to make this call. I had no idea. He said he was going to discuss a custody dispute. Then he informed me that he killed her, and I knew if he was going to kill her, she was going to kill me. So I better do what I can to help this guy to save myself. That's what I think is important. And I
Marie,
also think it's important
what
that
are
sheriff's
you looking
officer
out
sitting
for?
behind her should be wearing a mask.
Well, yeah, that's a separate question. Marie, what are you looking out for as we continue now this case? This is day one. We're going to be in live in this trial for several days. What are you looking out for next?
Well, I think it's God bless you. I think it's an interesting dynamic. I think this defense counsel is well seasoned. The prosecution seems to me a young lawyer, really relying more on cold evidence. And the defense here is more humanizing the scenario for his client. If I was in the courtroom, which I would rather be than just looking at cameras, I would be looking at the jury's reaction, who they look at, who they seem to be listening to. When they leave the courtroom, I always look to see if they're looking at the prosecution or the defense side, and that will tell you a lot about what they're thinking and what direction they're going in. Those are little things that it's hard to distinguish when you're watching a trial on the cameras and you're not actually in the courtroom.
Right. Well, we'll see ourselves what happens next. Marie, Mike, I thank you for taking the time this morning to break down this case as well as the Ahmaud Arbery case, which we talked about at the beginning of the program. This is a fascinating one to cover, everybody. So stay tuned here on Law and Crime. I'm going to be